What's up, YouTube? My name's Isaac. This is one of my first videos. I'm going to be doing a Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck showcase of the Heraldic Beast deck. I would say that it's 2020 because, well, it's 2020. But I will not say that this is a 2020 competitive deck. This is really kind of just a for fun deck that I play against my friends when we duel, like, at a college campus or in our basements and stuff. I'm just going to get right into it. So the first thing we play in the deck is 3 Heraldic Beast Leo. This is absolutely mandatory. This is your one search card in the deck. Every time Leo hits the graveyard, well, it's a hard once per turn, but other than that, anytime it hits the graveyard, you get to search any heraldic monster from your deck. Damn, I got Heraldics on my mind. I'm going to do a showcase of Heraldic another time. You guys get to see that deck. But anyhow, it also has an effect that destroys itself if you use it for your normal summon. That helps you set up for next turn. But yeah, this card is pretty much the heart and soul of the deck. You really need this card to get your plays going. Alright, next, 3 Amphisbaenas. This is one of 2 monsters in the deck that can special summon itself, which is what makes it essential to play 3. That's pretty much it for Amphisbaena. There's not really much to this. I mean, it's a good combo if you manage to discard Leo to use its effect to special summon Amphisbaena, because then you'll get the search from Leo. Moving on. The next playset we're going to play is Twin-Headed Eagle. Obviously, anyone who's heard of this archetype before knows that the point of this archetype is rank 4, rank 4, rank 4. So, you're going to get your rank 4s, you're going to get 2 Heraldic Beasts on the field, overlay them, use their effect, detach, and then summon those monsters from the graveyard to summon more rank 4s. And this card lets you recycle your monsters in the graveyard to use your Xyz monsters effects multiple times. So, like, say, we'll get to the extract later, but a lot of these cards require detaching 2 materials, like Dugaris the Timeless, or Dark Rebellion Xyz Dragon. And what you can do is, first of all, Dark Rebellion's not a once per turn effect, so you could actually use that effect twice in the same turn if you give it more materials with Twin-Headed Eagle. Alright, moving on. 3 of Heraldic Beast Aberconway. This card's good because you can recycle it from the graveyard with its own effect, and you play 3, so you are basically going to be able to use that effect up to twice per duel, and it's just good to be able to get that card advantage and be able to use your normal summon to get 1 more level 4 monster on the graveyard for your Xyz summons, or on the field, not graveyard. Wow. Okay. Next up, we got 3 Heraldic Beast Ale. I used to try running this at 1, but that was back when I was using Goblinberg. A lot of people argue this card's not that great because it requires you to control 2 or more Heraldic Beast monsters, so it's not like you can just summon 1 and then special summon Ale. But more often than not, you can pretty easily get 2 Heraldic monsters on your field, so you'll be able to summon this pretty easily. And if you're lucky, you'll be able to summon 4 level 4 monsters on your first turn, and then go into 2 Xyz monsters, set up a pretty good board, at least for a casual style. Next we play 3 Unicorns. I wouldn't play this card at 3, except building this deck got to a point where I kind of ran out of cards to use, and I had to make an actual 40 card deck, so I just put more in here. Plus, Leo thins your deck a lot, because you can keep reusing it over and over. So having more Heraldic monsters in your deck to search is a benefit. Plus you can banish this from your graveyard to recycle one of your Psychic Xyz monsters. 3 Basilisks. Literally the only reason you run this card is, just like I said a minute ago, you just want more Heraldic Beast monsters in the deck. Also, if you set this face down and your opponent doesn't know what it is, maybe doesn't know the archetype, doesn't expect it, they're going to lose one of their monsters. Or if you're in like a Hail Mary situation, you can just crash into your opponent's monster, destroy it. Okay, that's it for monsters, guys. We're going to move on to spells now. Spells and the one trap card we run in this deck. Alright, 1 Foolish Burial. 1 because it's limited, obviously. Basically, if you draw this, you're just going to dump Leo and get your search. That's what it's for. Next, and this is, I said Leo earlier was the heart and soul of the deck. I'm going to rephrase my statement. Leo is the backbone of the deck. This is the heart and soul of the deck. This card is the reason that I wanted to build the deck in the first place. Advanced Heraldry Art. Target 2 Heraldic Beast monsters in your graveyard. Special summon both those targets and immediately Xyz summon 1 monster using just those 2 monsters. This card is great because it summons both materials for you, and your opponent can't interrupt the summon of your material monsters because it says immediately after it triggers the next part of the effect. It's still resolving. So your opponent can't respond with another card effect during that, which is pretty good. This is like the only card like this. I think there's like, the only other card I can think of is King's Consonance for Synchros that would do something like this. But that's a different concept entirely. But yeah, this is a really good card. Literally, like, as long as you're not, like, first turn, nothing in your graveyard, you just play this card. Instant rank 4. It's beautiful. I love it. Heart and soul of the deck. Alright, next thing we're going to play is 3 Heraldry Reborns, followed by 1 Monster Reborn. So those are, we run 4 Monster Reborn cards in the deck. Just because, like I said, the goal of this deck is you're going to just reuse your level 4 monsters from the graveyard to get more rank 4 monsters onto your board. Because rank 4s have a really good generic. There's just a lot of really good rank 4 monsters, and that's kind of what the deck is all about. But, so yeah, like say you use Advanced Heraldry Art. Actually, it wouldn't work that way. But, so if you use a couple of these, like if you use 1 or 2 of your Monster Reborn cards, or a Special Summon effect, and you end up with like 3 on your field, that's when you're going to use Special Summon Ale from your hand, and get 2 rank 4s on the board, instead of just being able to summon 1. Anyhow, yeah, there's a lot of stuff in this deck that summons from the graveyard. That's kind of just how the deck works. Alright, so we got 2 Augmented Heraldry, followed by Terraforming. Let's get this in here so you guys can actually see the card. This card protects your Psychic type Xyz monsters, but the real reason we run this is because it can search Heraldry, Spell, and Traps from the deck. Sadly, utilizing that effect does lock you into Psychic type Xyz monsters, and there aren't that many good Psychic type Xyz monsters. What I'm trying to say here, guys, is thank God we have Time Thief Redoer. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to use this card. Alright, moving on. I say that too much, don't I? Moving on. Alright. 2 Charged Up Heraldries. If you try running this at 3, don't, because this is another card that locks you into Psychic. Well, it also gives you the option of Machine. Not sure why. There aren't too many good rank 4 machines that aren't like within archetype. But yeah, so you tribute 1 monster and special summon 2 Heraldic Beast monsters from your deck. Mainly, this is kind of similar to Advanced Heraldry Art, although it has a cost and a restriction. This is basically just a first turn card to get the deck going from early game into mid game. I tried to just run this at 1, but I just ran out of cards to put in the deck, so I had to bump it to 2. I'd almost consider putting a third one in, but no, you can't be locked into Psychic that often. There's too many good other monsters, and if you see like Rivalry of the Warlords, it's gonna completely screw up your game. And yeah. Alright. We run 3 Xyz blocks and 1 Generations Force to search it. Xyz block is a counter trap that negates your opponent's monster effects with the cost of detaching one of your Xyz materials. So it is a great way to just, negating monster effects is it's kind of essential to the game now. You have to be able to negate monster effects. Otherwise you won't be able to play. But yeah, it's just a good utilization for all these Xyz materials that your monsters are going to have on them. And it's, I just was looking through my cards and I found this card. I'm like, hey, this card would be great in this deck. So I played it. Alright, we run 1 Upstart Goblin. Because 40 card deck, it just thins the deck. So it's a 39 card deck now, basically. Not much more needs to be said about that. The last card we run in the main deck is I run 1 copy of Xyz Territory. If you were trying to build a version of this deck to take to a tournament, obviously there'd be a lot more meta cards that you'd want to put into this deck that I don't have here. But don't run this card in a competitive version. I put this in mostly because, as I've been saying, I just ran out of cards to use in the deck for a casual style. And it's just kind of fun. Like, my rank 4s are going to all gain 800 attack when they go into battle. And that sometimes can be a bit life-saving, especially in casual style. Alright guys, that's it for the main deck. On to the extra deck. So like I said before, we have 1 Dugaris the Timeless. I don't even think I need to explain why this card is in here. It's like one of the best rank 4 monsters we've ever gotten. Abyss Dweller, to prevent your opponent from using their graveyard effects. We've got 1 Starliege Photon Blast Dragon. This card is mainly in here because it protects every card with 2,000 attack or more. So like all my other Xyz monsters are going to be unaffected, and that's just going to be, could be beneficial in certain circumstances. So I just kind of figured I'd put it in here because I had the space. Next one, we've got Diamond Dire Wolf. I swapped this card into the extra deck as soon as someone used Rivalry of the Warlords. Rivalry of Warlords, there's no the against me, because I realized I had no way of playing around Rivalry of Warlords. But if you get 2 of your beast type Heraldic beasts and then go into this, it can destroy itself and then destroy Rivalry of Warlords. It's not very cost efficient, but it's better than just not being able to play at all. Because like none of the other cards in your extra deck go with the types. Except we've got Castell the Skyblaster Musketeer. This is good because it's a wing beast, so you can, if you get 2 Twin Head Eagles on the field, you can summon this even with Rivalry on the field, but it's still pretty difficult to do that because that's your only wing beast monster in the main deck. But mainly this is in here just because it's good. A lot of people use this in meta decks, or at least it was being used. I got it from Dual Devastator, so I know it was used in meta at some point. But yeah, it's got 2 effects, Both are great. Onward. Silent Honor Arc. This card eats your opponent's monsters and can protect itself from destruction. Number 41. Baguska the Terribly Tired Tapir. If you're in a situation where you're a little bit screwed, this is the card to use because it's just going to slow your opponent down for 2 turns while you figure out how you're going to come back. Alright, we've got one Tornado Dragon. Also a fairly meta card. It's just great to be able to destroy your opponent's spell and traps. Especially like if you're going up against the Dark Magician deck and you go first and you get this card on the board, they're going to have a really hard time combating this card. I almost thought about running 2 of this in the extra deck, but I decided against it. There's only one card that I run 2 of in this deck. And you know what? You guys can tell me in the comments if you're watching this video. Try to guess which card you think I run 2 of in the extra deck. Alright, so we've got one Heraldry Patriarch. This card's good because it can get Heraldic Beast monsters from your deck into the graveyard, which is kind of... You know, I just realized this deck almost functions like a zombie deck. Your goal is to get shit in the graveyard. But, yeah. It also has that other effect of if your opponent's got multiple of the same name card on the field, you can make them send all but one to the graveyard, and as long as Patriarch is on the field, they can't summon monsters of that name. So if you're using this card against, like, Cyber Dragons or Dark Magicians, it's pretty amazing just to be able to tell them, ha, you can't summon Dark Magicians. Alright, that's enough for that card, though. Alright, one copy of Heraldic King Genome Heritage. I had side decked this, but I had room in the main extra deck, so I threw it in. It's only good against Xyz monsters, so that's why you don't really use it that often. But if you do see your opponent using Xyz monsters, this card is absolutely broken. The effect is that it gains the targeted monster's name and effects first. Or it gains the name, effect, and attack. Wait, it actually doesn't gain the name. Wait. Yes, it does. It gains the name. I was going to say, if it didn't, that'd be broken because you wouldn't be limited by hard once per turns. So yeah, it gains the name, its attack becomes that monster's attack, and it gains that monster's effects. And then it completely like drains that monster of all its attack points and effects. But since it gains the effect first, you can target monsters that have protection. So like if monsters are unaffected by card effects, this card would still gain the name, effects, and attack. It just wouldn't wipe that monster to 0 and negate its effects because it's unaffected. But because of the order of the effect, it would still gain everything that it's supposed to gain. That's why, not one reason this card is so good. This card is archetype locked to Heraldic Beast, because if it wasn't, it would be like back when it came out, everyone would have used this card. Alright, and let's see if you guys guessed right. The one card we run 2 of is Time Thief Redoer. This card is Psychic. This has actually become my favorite rank 4 monster. There are just a lot of good things about its effects. Well, it's got like 3, basically 4 effects. It's good draw power. It gets stuff off your opponent's board, and it can move itself out of the way to protect itself if that's what you need it to do. I also run this card in a Phantom Knights deck. So yeah. Other good thing about that effect is that you don't actually have to tell your opponent what kind of materials you're detaching, because it's on resolution, not at cost. Alright, one Dark Rebellion, as I mentioned earlier. and we've got the Utopia package to beat over stuff with high attack. Alright, that's it, guys. This deck has gone on, been going for 20 minutes, which is longer than I expected to be going for. But I hope you guys like it. If this video gets likes and comments and stuff, I will post more of my casual deck showcases. Enjoy the rest of your day, guys. Thank you for watching.